Oh my. I take more kidding about these pictures than probably anything else. When I have premaritals, inevitably the couple will be waiting to see me in the office and they'll be laughing back here. Laughing at themselves, but laughing at me. My, didn't I look cute back there with those glasses and that long hair, and where has it gone? I look at these pictures and I often wonder, where are they? Where are these confirmands that now are 5, 10, 20, 38 years older? Not just geographically, where are they? Where are they spiritually? When these pictures were taken, they were making commitments for the rest of their life. And now? I wonder how closely they examine their life today as to where it was when they began many years ago. And there's the word examine. It's such an important part of our life. These confirmands went through examinations with what they were learning, but the examination needs to continue in our life as well, beyond confirmation. We've been talking a lot about spiritual practices, and there's another one that's called Examen. And I'd like to share a little bit more in this time with you about how we can bring that into our daily life. As much fun as it is to be among those pictures, I thought it'd be better to take time in the rest of this post to be here in the sanctuary. Here is a place where examination happens. In the Word, in confession and absolution, in fellowship with one another. There's many things to miss about not being together. But weekly, when we're in worship, we are practicing the discipline of examen. Throughout the centuries, prayerful people have found direction in their lives through this discipline called the Examen. It was developed in the mid-1500s, just about near the time Martin Luther died. A man by the name of Ignatius of Loyola. The Examen is an examination of one's consciousness, not of one's conscience, but of one's consciousness, of one's awareness. The Examen are some simple questions that I'll show you in a minute that enable us to ask ourselves, how conscious am I of the presence of God? How aware am I of my own emotions and my own feelings throughout the day? The Examen helps me to review, to examine, if you will, where does God show up in my life in the course of a normal day? What emotions went with me in the course of that day? Was there anger? Was there joy? Was there love? The Examen helps me to be aware, if you will, of my mental state, of the emotional baggage that I carried throughout the day. The Examen, these simple questions, help to enlarge the capacity of my heart to love and to listen. The Examen also can help me to become aware of maybe where the capacity of my heart to do that is diminishing. And it brings me to a dangerous point of not being able to care or connect. Examen, if you will, helps me to review the day by praying backward. These questions are asked best in the evening, and as you review the day backward, you pray through that. And so I show you the sheet that's here before you, and you're going to see it now that you can read it. This is going to be posted on our resource page on our website, and you can get it there and download it and have the questions before you. But let's just walk through it briefly right now. The Examen is a method of reviewing your day in the presence of God. It's actually an attitude more than a method. A time set aside for thankful reflection on where is God in your everyday life. 5 steps, which most people take more or less in order. It can take 15, 20 minutes, it can take shorter. Here it is in a nutshell. Number 1, ask God for light And by this, you're asking God, show me, God, where you were present in this day, that maybe I just passed by it too quickly. Look at the day with God's eyes, not just your own. Number 2, give thanks. Close out the day in gratitude. The day that you've just lived is a gift from God. Close out the night by being grateful for those moments that God gave to you as a gift. Number 3, review the day. Carefully look back on the day just completed. Ask the Spirit to show you if there's anything harmful in that day, or anything joyful, or anything that created some irritation. In other words, be aware of your own emotions in the day and how you responded. And then fourthly, face your shortcomings. You face up to what's wrong. You face up to where maybe you didn't handle something very well in a conversation, in a relationship. And you take some moments there in this examen to confess that sin, to admit that, and agree with God in that. But then to recognize, once again, his grace visiting you. And finally, number 5, look forward to the day to come. Ask yourself, how do you want to go into the next day? That when you wake up, what's the emotion? What's the attitude? What's the demeanor you want to have going into that day? Not too many weeks ago, I sat in this very place with you, with this calendar in hand. And with the calendar in hand, I asked you to consider how you're handling these days, and how I said, we live with the uncertainty of not knowing when this is going to end. And even at the time I circled the date, I said, even if I could guarantee that this was the date it was going to end, I shared with you in that talk, that post, I'm not concerned so much with the day, the certainty of the day it ends, but rather, how do we enter into the day after that? How will we live out the 24 hours in that box? The purpose of the examen is to prepare us for that by looking backward, not forward. The examen helps us to look backward on the day, to see how we lived out that day, to become conscious of how God appeared to us in that day, and where we fell short, and where we were embraced with God's presence, so that we can then re-enter the next day with even greater confidence and greater joy. I would submit to you that as you look forward to the day after this is all over, if there is such a defined moment, that as you look forward to getting back to normal life, the best way to prepare for it is to prayerfully look backward. Backward on the last 24 hours, to prayerfully, thoughtfully ask the Spirit to examine your heart and see if there be anything harmful that would get in the way of walking into the next 24-hour box and saying, this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. May God bless you and those you love.